5 classic Mercedes that I would never want to own. You know, Thomas keeps telling me I need to do some videos that have interesting titles that might garner a few more views. So here you are, served on a silver platter. And for those of you who don't know, I know we've got a lot of new subscribers to this channel. I have a friend, his name is Thomas Polk, who helps me with a lot of these videos because with my schedule, I'd never be able to do it. And if I did do it, it wouldn't be probably as well organized. So, you know, I owe Thomas a big thank you. Now, let's talk about the 5 classic Mercedes that I would never want to own. Probably the first car on the list is a 1984 190E. Now, if somebody offered me one of these for free and it was really nice, I might consider it. But to be honest, 84 was a rough year for the 190. Those cars had several unique features. They had unique belt and pulley arrangements. They actually used V-belts instead of a serpentine belt. There were a bunch of recalls on these cars, most of which never got done. Everything from valve stem seals and valve adjusters to just some weird stuff with the climate control system because it was the first year of Tipmatic. Now, if I were to pick an 84 190 that I would own, it would probably be a 190D 2.2 or a 190D 2.0. These cars were actually decent cars despite the build quality issues within the 190E. I would say that if I were offered a 201, a first year 201, I'd just say, okay, you know, maybe a diesel, but definitely not a gas car. The second car that I probably would never own, because I've owned one and I've scratched that itch, I didn't enjoy it, would be a 1993 to 95 E320 Convertible. Now, why is it I would never own an E320 cab? Well, first reason is because all of the power top stuff is nearly unobtainium. It's kind of hard to repair. I've had to repair some of it before, but you have the top actuators and all the unobtainium parts associated with it, as well as sketchy diagnostics. These cars don't have the nice 32-pin connector that a 140 or a 124 V8 car had, or a 129 car for that matter. No, instead they relied on pulse counting to diagnose their somewhat more complicated than I'm used to LH Jetronic system, where you don't really get a feel from Mercedes where one specific problem is linked to one specific component. You actually have to have a bunch of expensive parts on hand that you know work to be able to test every function of those cars. Now, the M104 engine is very nice. I've had a 1993 300E. I had it for a long time. It was always a great car. I did not enjoy doing the head gasket on that car at just 52,000 miles, but you win some, you lose some, but throw in the convertible top and it's just a little bit too much for me. Number 3, a car that I'd probably never want to own would be a 1965 to 1969 600 long wheelbase. Now, that sounds crazy because I love, you know, all of the really opulent, fancy Mercedes from that era, but something about the long wheelbase 600 makes it an almost pointlessly difficult car to own. I'm happy to work on those cars all day. It's just, you know, the amount of time I'd have to put into one to maintain it, it would only really be justifiable if someone was paying me to do it. Those cars usually require major time-consuming surgeries to get their air suspension, comfort hydraulic system, and even their mechanical injection systems right. And at the end of the day, I find that the amount of money I'd have to put into one would net me, just the parts cost would probably net me a really nice 1985 240 TD, which is a car that I would aspire to own. Now, the 4th car on my list, I know this sounds absolutely terrible of me to say because I love the 116, would be a 1975 450 SE or SEL or 450 SL. Now, notice I didn't mention the SLC. I like SLCs. I just happen to have a soft spot for them. But 75 450 SL, SE, SEL, there's a lot you could do with these cars, but it starts with backdating the exhaust to the 74 exhaust and backdating the D-Jetronic parts to the 73 and earlier 002, 005 D-Jetronic controller and the 100-100 map sensor. 0280 100-100. That's the part number. It's very easy to remember. But those are the golden D-Jetronic controllers for US cars. And between those two items and the tedious exhaust conversion, I'm not sure if I'd want to deal with it. I would be better off actually looking for a 77 450 SL, SE, SEL, because in those years they modified the exhaust so it was better. Much better. It wasn't hung right on the side of the engine, and of course you had reliable CIS injection. And so why would I want the 75? Unless it was some insane time capsule car. If somebody offered me one for like $2,500 and was like, you know, this was an estate car, it's been sitting for 25 years, I'd probably just pass on the car. Now the fourth car on the list, kind of controversial, right? I'm going to make you guys cringe, but this one, a 500E. Now, who on earth would not want to own 92 to 94 500E/E500? Who? You must be crazy. Well, there are a couple of reasons for this. First of all, the 500E never really appealed to me that much because working on one of those cars involves an immense amount of suffering. Doing motor mounts, you have to pull the motor mount arms and the motor mount and jack up the engine and just snake it out of there. Want an engine harness? Some of them are available, some of them are not. You know, if you have an electronic issue such as an idle issue or an, you know, electronic cruise control / idle speed control issue or whatever, chasing down the problem can be a real headache. A friend of mine just shared with me this morning that the LH module in those cars can act up, causing the fuel pumps to receive varying voltage, making the engines run very poorly. Tie in the fact that you need the handheld tester module built into your SDS system to diagnose these cars, and it's just a little bit too much for me. Too much. Now, let's look at the last car that I would probably not want to own. Number 5. The last car I would probably, you know, and I've thought about owning a W140. And in fact, I probably would own a 140 if the right, really clean 140 turbo diesel came up and it was just a really sweet car. You know, even an S320, I'd put my mom in an S320, an S420, and an S500, but the car that I probably would really shy away from owning would be a 92 to 94 600 SE, SEL, SEC, or S600, which is what they called it starting in 1993. Now, one of the reasons I would not want to own one of these cars is because the difficulty of the electronic diagnosis on the LH system, the propensity for unresolvable oil leaks on the engine, the difficulty in finding parts for the 140 chassis would make me, if I were interested in owning one of these cars, which one day I might be, who knows? You know, I know a lot of people who have them and really love them. You really want to start looking at 96, 97, 98, because those cars had much better electrical systems and much better quality control, fit and finish, and longevity than the 92 to 94 cars, and you can even throw the 95 cars in with the batch. So those are my 5 Mercedes I would never own. Some of those answers didn't surprise you, I'm sure, like the 140 or the you know, the E500/500E, but some of them probably did. Like, oh, Pierre wouldn't want a certain 450 SE or SEL. No, sorry, I wouldn't. And I've had some weird Mercedes throughout my lifetime. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Tap the bell for notifications, and we'll talk in the future. Thanks.